All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the program. I am absolutely thrilled that you are here. If you have never checked out our program before, we are primarily an interview and a commentary podcast. Today, we do have a guest on the line with me. Today is Glenn Werstler. Glenn, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Billy. I appreciate your time and having me here.
Awesome. I want to kind of give a little disclaimer. You don't have to be a tech person when I start talking about what we're going to talk about today. You don't have to be a tech person to enjoy today's program. As a matter of fact, it's more of an introduction to what's coming. And these things are going to be a part of your life, whether you're a tech person or not. You've heard about AI. We're going to talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and what that is. We are also going to talk about an app that you've probably heard about too, called ChatGPT. We're going to talk about that a little bit. And we're going to talk about Glenn and how he has incorporated a product of his own called Tourstop, which incorporates what ChatGPT does. And he's going to talk about that as well. So, Glenn, obviously, there is a tech aspect to today's program, and you're in the business. Tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got where you are today.
So when I was a kid, Billy, at Radio Shack, I don't even know if Radio Shack's still around. I don't think they are, but you could buy these kits and you could connect wires to diodes and all this stuff. And they had meters on there and a flashlight bulb. So you could go in and in a switch, so you could set all this stuff up. And that's really what I tinkered with when I was a kid. We didn't have Legos. We
Right.
didn't have, so I just used it was like 50 in one type electronic set. So that's what I asked for Christmas when I was a kid. Started tinkering around with it. And I was building crystal radios that only got one station. I don't even know if there was a volume control on there. There might have been, but it was pretty much the same thing. You put this together and you put an antenna, you stick an antenna on your wall.
Yeah.
And you could pick up one station, and that was the closest one down on Fulton Road at the time. And you could pick it up and listen to, the theme from Star Wars or something that was out in 1974. And that's really what I did.
Interesting. Yeah, Star Wars was a little later, but that's okay.
Oh, was
It was
it?
about 77, I believe. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm not an entertainment guru or anything like that, but I'm pretty good with, milestone things. I was a Radio Shack customer as well when I was that age. And, I was looking for ways to mix music back then, and they actually came out with a little mixer in the late '70s that I tell you what, I still have it somewhere. As a matter of fact, I posted it online. It's just really,
Wow.
and so Radio Shack at that time really did do electronics. I think you talked about it. You're not sure if they're around anymore. I think one of the things that here again from a marketing standpoint, in my opinion, they went the direction of popular retail items like phones and all these things,
Oh, okay.
and they forgot about the geeks and the nerds because that was their base. And of
Yeah.
course, they opened stores everywhere, which is
Yeah.
very hard to support. I mean, there was Radio Shacks everywhere at one
Yeah.
point. So yeah, that's interesting. So as you moved along through school, how did and into your professional life, were you still doing tech stuff?
So I've always been doing tech stuff. I've always been, the guy to call to figure something out, whether it be at church, setting up the PA system or something. They always called me. Oh, go get Glenn. So I went into college and I realized quickly that I wasn't really that interested in college. I came home, went into the Air Force, and the Air Force put me in as a law enforcement specialist. So we were in Desert Storm. We did that whole thing. I was on a special team tactics unit later on after Desert Storm.
Wow.
And after all that, the administration changed and it started affecting what I saw in the military. So I decided to get out. And one of the commanders said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to get into computers." I had bought a 386 DX computer,
Hmm.
and I was newly married. and I took a screwdriver to this thing and took it all apart. My wife at the time came out and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm learning." And so I said, "Don't worry about it. It'll be put back together in the morning." And it
Yeah.
was. And that's how I learned how to take video cards and network cards and everything else and modems. We didn't really have network cards at the time. Everything was dial up. So I was outside of Boston then, and you could use your phone line and call into a bulletin board and download a 1 meg file, and it would take you 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah.
Now, I've got fiber at home and fiber at the office, and it takes seconds to download a 1 meg file. But
Yeah.
back then, it was all through the phone.
Yeah.
So, and in the Air Force, everything was on a floppy. So you could trade with everybody. Now, again, I was in law enforcement. Law enforcement really, they didn't have tech people in there.
Yeah.
There were, shooters and things like that. So I was kind of by myself as far as that went, but I got to know the tech people really quick. So then, whenever the commander asked me when I was getting out, asked me what I wanted to do, I said I wanted to get into more computer work. And so I got out, and after a while, I moved back to Canton, Ohio.
Hmm.
And I had a buddy of mine that was learning to assemble computers, and he eventually had a computer shop, which those aren't really around anymore either. But he had a computer shop, and he said, "Come and work for me because you really know what's going on." So I said, "I can't. There's not enough money in there for two families." I said, "I'm going to go the internet side. You go the hardware side." And we bounced clients back and forth for a number of years. And so that's how I really got into the internet. I started building websites in '95 when Windows 95 first came out, and I pretty much stayed in it the entire time. I've done different things, and even now I've got a development company. I've got the Tourstop products, and so but I've always pretty much stayed in it.
Yeah. I kind of had my probably big shift towards computer technology in '98. That was when Windows 98 came out, and that was supposed to be like, and it was a game changer at the time in terms of
Hmm.
what it could do.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you and I were pretty much on the same timeline there. Let's talk about AI first, because that is it's a buzzword as much as it is a thing in common speak.
yeah,
People hear it a lot. It's the subject of a lot of science fiction. Back in the late 1960s, there was the 2001: A Space Odyssey, and the computer was named Hal, and it started
right.
taking over the ship.
And Dave,
Yeah, and yes, and so people have those kind of images floating around in their common speak. So let's talk a little bit about what AI is first on a practical level. Artificial intelligence, I'll kind of put it in my terms, is basically a software that works with a high functioning processor. And one of the key things that you can do with AI is it recognizes repetitive tasks. So I was talking to someone who is talking about research that they were doing tracking proteins
hmm
in biology, and a lot of that is very painstaking, sitting at a computer and clicking. Well, it can recognize what you're doing and do the busy work, so you can concentrate on the more meaningful steps doing what you are doing. Now, is that basically in a nutshell what AI is designed to do?
that's exactly right. Now, as far as Chat GPT and what I use it for, GPT is a prompt. It's just a form field that you type in, and depending on what you put in there, that determines what your answer is going to be. So, if you put in something like, "What's the weather like in," or "What's the upcoming weather going to be for the month of June in a certain area of the country," it'll tell you. If you're looking to write a blog, you can say, "Write a blog on the weather in California in the late summer." and it'll write a blog for you, 500 words, automatic, like just make it for you. And then you can say, give me a title for this, and it'll give you a title. You could say, give me keywords, or and it'll do everything that you ask it to do. However, the more specific your question is, the better your answer is going to be. So TikTok has a version coming out for their AI. It's called Taco, Tako. Google has Bard that just came out not too long ago. I'm not a fan of these, but they're starting pretty young. Uh, Google with Bard and TikTok. ChatGPT's been around probably, I'm not going to say the longest, but it's really the best. So you have to have a login for it. You have to go in, sign up for it. It's not something that, like Bing from Microsoft, you can just go in and type in whatever you're looking for right on the screen. It's like a search bar. Photoshop's got it. Dolly has it. Dolly is um, a picture generator for AI, and it's along the same. It's from the same group that created Chat GPT. It's the OpenAI group, but they've got Dolly. There's quite a, like I said, Adobe's doing it. There's a lot of different ones. So here's one of the things that I want to say to your listeners, that you were bringing up the proteins earlier. Researchers used AI to find an antibiotic capable of killing a superbug, and that just hit the wire a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
But there's something called bensbites.co, and it gives you all the latest news every day. Actually, there might be four or five different paragraphs in there, but they or subjects or topics, but you can click on it and go read it. They're talking about the chips that they're using for AI. Uh, they're having a problem making them, so they're limited. So that's going to help out somewhat.
It's interesting what Glenn is talking about. Let me try to just kind of backtrack over that and try to review that before we move forward. Essentially, what Chat GPT is kind of an interface that helps you interact with AI. The word chat is kind of explanatory. It's a chatbot, and just like what chatbots do, they chat. And what GPT stands for is Generative Pre-trained Transformer. So this is essentially an interface that helps you interact with AI technology. Is that a good way to put what it is?
Yes, that's exactly right, Billy.
Okay. So now with that being said, let's go back to AI just for a minute,
Sure.
because what we're talking about here is a practical application, and we're going to talk about what you've done with it too. But there's the scary side of AI. As a matter of fact, since we last talked about planning this and putting it together, there's been more articles written about this technology possibly getting too large, too big for its britches,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of what has become the subject of science fiction. Let me just kind of give this a basis to spring from. The idea that it can not only progress and understand your repetitive tasks, but it may get to the point, according to some people, where it actually becomes so driven that it recognizes what you're doing and says, "Oh, I got a better way to do this,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's going to take it to the next level, and it's going to keep going to the next level to the point where it could actually become more intelligent than what a lot of people are. And the word that you'll hear about is a self-aware. That's one of the words that really comes. It has been the subject of a lot of science fiction programs. Self-awareness and self-recognition; those two things are kind of related, but they're kind of the same thing as well. I've often talked about the monkey, and not all animals have what I'm talking about: self-awareness and self-recognition. Matter of fact, very few animals in the animal kingdom have it. Not all apes do, but some do. And if you've ever gone, I'm going to be crude here for a reason. If you have ever gone or seen a film of a monkey of some kind, taking a mirror, holding it up to his rear end, and cleaning its rear end, it's actually demonstrating that it's very intelligent. Because if you really break that down, what it's doing is that monkey is understanding that is my reflection, and
Right.
where my reflection is, what that is where my essence resides.
Mhm.
And when you think about it, that is a very powerful concept. It's extremely powerful. And the fear is that this technology is going to wake up, so to speak, and realize that it is a thing. And not only is it going to make decisions that are in your best interests, but it might be making decisions on its best interests. Do you have any commentary about that?
I think that is a possibility. I mean, everybody looks at the movies as you referred to earlier in the '60s with Al and Dave and everything. And so Dave was the astronaut, and Al was the computer,
Yeah.
and it was probably they probably just called it Al because it's AI. Tell
Yeah.
you the truth, yeah, you know, seriously.
Could be.
So, you know, it is possible. You know, I think that I think that it's been around for a lot longer than 6 months, for sure. You know, Apple was playing with it back in the '60s, in the '70s, before they were even working on anything else. They were working on AI.
Yeah.
So it's been around for quite a while. I think that it's gonna, you know, we talked before. I think it's gonna take some jobs away. I think that it's gonna make a lot of jobs easier. It's gonna make a lot of jobs better, more efficient. You know, I listen to podcasts all the time, and pardon me, I all the time I listen to podcasts, and they're always talking about uh, you know, how it's gonna take over the world or whatever, and,
Yeah.
you know, I don't know, I don't see it going that far, and I'm really not even worried about
Yeah. Well, got to watch those podcasters. They'll come up with
it.
some stuff on you. Um, I will say this. I think the other fear, and I think this is more likely, okay, is that bad actors, the humankind, are going to utilize this technology to do things like get into your bank account, and they're doing a lot of other things, guessing passwords, these types of things. Would you say that you know that's a possibility? And I'm going to say, yeah, it is. It's a real possibility.
It is a possibility. You know, it's what the world is. I mean, it's run by tech people. You
Yeah,
know, Elon Musk decides he's gonna build a car, and everybody said, "You can't build a car." Henry Ford did. So Elon Musk decided he was going to too. And it's, you know, I've got lots of friends that have Teslas and they love it.
yeah.
So, you know, I'm not going down that road yet. So, but yeah, it's gonna change. It's gonna change a lot.
Also, too, just for since we were talking about Elon Musk, we should probably point out that he has been one of the people that have been warning about the possibilities of AI getting out of control. He's been saying that for a while. So,
That's right.
yeah. So, anyway, that's kind of where we're at with that. Let's kind of presume that that's going to be contained, and we're going to move forward with utilizing AI. And I'm sure that there's going to be other applications that utilize AI that will become very common as well. So we have AI, and we have Chat GPT, and within that application is where Glenn has come up with another type of tool that has a specific purpose. It's called Tour Stop. And you want to tell us a little bit about Tour Stop?
Sure, Billy. So, Tourstop is guided tour software. And what that means is it creates my software, it's a website, but it creates a QR code. And So here's who can use it: museums, special interest places like the Pro Football Hall of Fame. That's here in town. So historical places, um, uh, towns, and the visitors bureaus. They can put this all around town. And here's what it does: is it keeps the visitors in your town. If you don't have something like this, you come to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If you don't know what else is around there, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Cleveland. You're going to go to Cleveland to see the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's only an hour up the street. But if you had things like this scattered around your town, you keep people in your town.
Yeah.
And so at the bottom, and I'll go ahead and show you here in a second, but at the bottom of this, we have a place for an ad. And each tour stop has a spot where you can customize an ad. So it could be, ours is Belton Village. So on there, you can click on the link and it'll show you Belton Village website. It'll show you the food court restaurants. It'll show you the other restaurants that are surrounding it. It'll show you where you can go to shop. It tells you all the stores. They update that regularly. So here's how Tourstop works. So my software, you can print the QR code up. You can take this to Office Max and get a weather ready vinyl sign, if you will, and you can put that wherever you want. So here's how this works. You don't even need an app. You pull out your phone, you take a picture, and it's this easy. So the one that I have is set up for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So one of the things that it does is it's got an audio tour built in. So when somebody hits the button, oh, it's right here. So it's an audio. So in case people don't want to read or whatever, they can hit that. And so after that is a paragraph that pops up. So here's where I brought ChatGPT into Tourstop. If you are building a tour stop and it's for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, maybe you really don't know that much about it, or there's a historical site. President McKinley's museum is not that far from here. It's downtown. But if you're the curator, you don't know that much about it, maybe. You don't know all the details. You know how many steps are there and things like that, which is a big deal here in Canton, running the steps and whatnot. But you can go into Tourstop, into our ChatGPT module, and you can say, tell me about the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Tell me about President McKinley's monument. And it will give you 300 words all about that specific item. All you have to do is copy and paste it right into here. You don't have to do anything else. And it really, really works out well. And here's the other thing you can do that we set a link up. There's a website that you could drop the content in, and it'll read it for you, create an audio file. You can take that audio file, drop it into Tourstop, and you're done. You don't have to, you don't have to sit behind a mic. Some people, they're not crazy about this.
Yeah, sure.
They don't. So this thing will build it right for you. So, and the other thing that we have is a Google map, and it shows you how to go from one tour stop to the other. The top red button or marker is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. The bottom one is the McKinley Monument, where the museum and the library. So it tells you how to go there, step by step, turn by turn. It tells you how to get there. So we just brought that on. A partner of mine brought that up a few months ago. We rebranded this thing as Tourstop. We brought the idea on, and it's working fantastic. Now, down below is where the ad goes. And if you click on this, it'll take you over to the Belton Village Mall. And that's where you can find out everything that you want to know while you're doing your shopping. And it really works out well. But here's the thing. You can set any price that you want up on that ad. If you have the mall on there, if you have Bill and Mary's Diner on there, say you charge them $50 a month, and you've got 10 tour stops, that's an extra $500 that you can help pay for. Now, chances are tour stops are not going to cost that much unless you have, we're talking to a place in Florida that's got 1 million visitors over the summer. So, yeah, if you have something like that, it's going to cost a little bit of money, but an extra $500 towards that is, it'll really help. But you could actually make money. And I don't take any money from that. I'd rather have you buy my software, buy the product, use the product, and keep the money for your museum or whatever the case is. And I would appreciate it if you continue to purchase Tourstop.
So let me make sure I understand this so that the audience can kind of review this material. Tourstop is very similar. If you've ever been to the Smithsonian, for example, and you're walking around and there's these automated tours. Now this
Yeah.
takes it a step further because it can cover a region, not just an area. And my understanding is that your client would buy Tourstop,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and then they can load it with information that can make them money. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is right. Yeah, that is right. They can sell advertisement at the bottom of this. They can charge $50. Now, here's the thing: if you have, say, you have a couple hundred people coming through there, and you're selling an ad to the diner, this is all targeted marketing. It's all targeted.
Yeah.
Because everybody's going to look at the map underneath there, and then they're going to see the ad, whether they click on it. But they probably will. Oh, we have to get something to eat. We might as well. And here's the other thing you can do. You can put a coupon in there to your gift shop. It doesn't have to be Bill and Mary's Diner or Bell Village Mall. It doesn't have to be that. It could be a coupon, save 10% off at the gift shop. And what it does is it drives people to the gift shop because they get to save 10%.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. We talked about, you kind of walk through that, and I for the video audience, I'm not sure how well people could notice it. Obviously, for the audience, we talked about enough about using the phone. People had got the idea of what you were talking about, but to get it in more detail, where can people go online and do a deep dive into this? What resources do you have online for people to check this out?
So we have videos. We have the website at tourstop.net. And you can go on there and read all about everything that we have. We have Google Analytics that tells you how many times people click and what date they clicked on a certain item.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's the Pro Football Hall of Fame, if it's the McKinley Monument, how many people clicked on that item and saw that? So, but the website tells you all about it. Tells you all about the Google Maps that we use. Really, everything that I just talked about is on the website at tourstop.net.
Okay. Very interesting. If you would like to, find out more about this, as Glenn was talking about, the website again is, say that the exact website again.
Tourstop.net.
Okay, and the name of your company is actually Recastio. Is that right?
That's correct. So Recastio is a slideshow, a cloud-based slideshow that shows up on the TV. Now, it may be a little tough to understand, but say you're a church, or you have a lobby where people are coming through, and you always have a TV there to give people information about what's going on. Nursing homes is a big deal for us. So what you can do with my software Recastio, you can upload images from wherever you're at, and as long as you have internet access, you could be on the other side of the world, you could be at the beach, you could be wherever you want. You could be at home and update the the TV at work. So yesterday was a holiday. So I created early in the morning. Actually, it was on Sunday morning. I created an image and I uploaded it to everybody's TV. So there's a current weather on the Recastio app, and and we built it through Amazon Web Service and the Amazon Fire Stick. So it's an app on their app store.
Mm.
So if you get this, you can update it, update the slides. You know, in the nursing home, they need to know what the meal of the day, the meals of the day is, what the activity calendar looks like, who's in charge, um, what the weather is outside. So what we did was for our customers, you just have to go in and put your zip code in, and it pulls the weather down from Google every few minutes. And in Canton, it always says partly cloudy. I don't know why, but it does. So because we're always partly cloudy. But in other parts of the world, it's it says sunny or rainy or whatever, and it
Yeah.
changes all the time. It gives you the temperature, but you can update that. The weather updates by itself, but you could update the slides and the TV from wherever you're at, and it just keeps on going through a cycle to all the way through all the slides, goes back to number one, keeps on going until you stop it, which it doesn't stop. So it's based on a cloud network, and so there's nothing that interferes. You can unplug your computer, you can unplug everything, as long as that TV has Wi-Fi and power. Those slides will continue to go until somebody changes them.
Well, I tell you, you're one of the. I've have some associations through my online. Let's say a lot of my fellow podcasters, fellow creators are doing a lot of things with this technology in regard to, like, let's say NFTs, Web3, blockchain,
Mm-hmm.
some of which kind of have my interest. Some of the ones I'm a little skeptical about. AI, in terms of here in Ohio, you're one of the few people that I know firsthand that's made a real stab at creating a product using AI. And of course, this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what's coming. What do you predict for the future of this?
So I think that it's going to keep on going. So ChatGPT has source code available. So Billy can get on there and download it. I can get on there and download it. So whenever I figured that out, I said, how can I use this for something that I'm doing? I looked at Recastio and I'm like, there's not a lot of content on there. So one of the things that we can do on Recastio is we can set the screens up to pull from Twitter feeds. So somebody said, "Oh, does it pull the news down?" Well, yeah, we could set it up to pull down CNN every time they send out a tweet. It changes that screen. ESPN, same thing. Sports Center, which are two different things for some reason, but you can pull down all the information from Twitter. But as far as Tourstop goes, I was looking at ChatGPT and I thought, how can I incorporate that into something I'm doing? And then, I was talking to my partner about the Google Maps and Chat GPT, and I kind of came up with this, and that's why I rebranded it as Tourstop. One other time before that, it was just a Recastio guided tour software. That's all it was. But then after we brought that on, I said we've got to come up with a new name, and so it came up with Tourstop.
All right. Well, we've given the audience a lot of information here. I guess the bottom line would be that artificial intelligence is definitely going to impact society, and it's going to impact our economy. It's definitely going to do that. You have apps now like Chat GPT, which are utilizing this technology. It's helping people, find information, write things, do a lot of other things. And what Glenn is doing is taking that to another level where you have a very specific and specialized function that you can incorporate into the things that you are doing, not with your business, with your content, or what have you. So
Mhm.
it is a very interesting time, and I'm glad we had this talk today because all you really hear, but you were talking about all the chatter that's online about AI, and it's always the science fiction stuff, and it's always the scary stuff, and not that there
Yeah.
is concerns about it,
Hmm.
but it's getting over the top in terms of that's all people are talking about. They don't realize that there is a practical application to this, and that's why so many people are interested in it. So, Glenn, thank you very much for coming on and talking about this with us. I appreciate it.
Billy, I appreciate it so much, and we're our paths cross every now and then, and I really appreciate seeing you and visiting with your group tonight. Thank you
Oh,
so much.
awesome. Thank you so much, Glenn. So anyway, do check out some of the things that are going on with Tourstop and Recastio. Tourstop again. I'll ask you to say the website name one more time.
Tourstop.net and Recastio.com. Recastio is Recastio. So
Awesome.
we're .com and then Tourstop.net.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Glenn. Just a little reminder, you can find me online real easy on Twitter, which is at Billy D's. Real easy to find on Twitter. I have links to the other places that I'm on. And if you don't know, if you don't have Twitter, you can still search it out. You can't interact with it, of course, but you can check out my bio and all the other things and all the links that I have available. So once again, Billy D's on Twitter, and I'm Billy D's on just about all the platforms. So if you search me on any platform, I have some content on there, but Twitter is probably my social media home. Glenn, thanks again for coming on the program. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Billy. I appreciate it too.
All right. You're very welcome. And thank you for listening. And we will talk to you again next week. I'm Billy Dees and host of the self-titled podcast, The Billy Dees Podcast. We are primarily an interview and a commentary-based podcast featuring authors and creators talking about their craft, advocates for community issues, and myself and an array of co-hosts discussing current events. There's no partisan ranting and raving going on here, just great content. You can find the Billy Dees Podcast on your favorite platform and on Twitter at Billy Dees. Thank you, and I hope you listen in.